Have you ever heard somebody say about a goal, it feels like I'm making one step forward, two steps backwards? Sometimes in our self-help journey, it can feel like we're playing this dance where we move forward a certain amount only to find ourselves back even further than where we started. It can be a confusing process. In fact, sometimes it can feel like we're in a maze with ever-changing walls. Well, that's what this video is about. I hope you're excited, because today you're going to learn how to get out of the maze and how to find the exit, because it's actually right where you're standing.
Close your eyes and dive right in. World unknown, a journey begins. Steer your thoughts, shift your fate. Hack yourself, don't wait, don't hesitate.
Greetings, beautiful human. My name is AJ, owner of AJ Inc. Triple M Coaching. Thank you for joining me on my home planet on the interwebs, hackyourself.net, or YouTube's or Facebook, wherever you're joining me. Today's video is entitled Self-Help is a Maze with Ever-Changing Walls. And today I'm going to teach you how to escape. So I hope you're ready. In order to understand this concept, we're going to have to take a look at human perception. Now, I never fully understood what human perception was in the beginning because maybe my perception was so skewed from my past. But the basic meaning of human perception is when you look out in the world, what you see and how you perceive it. And what a lot of us are dealing with is we're perceiving something that's not real because the lenses that we have from our past are absolutely skewing what we see. And so it's a confusing process at first. It feels like maybe the gods are against you, or maybe fate is against you, or you just have bad luck. But really, you just don't know the game you're playing. You think you're trying to navigate a maze, and the walls keep changing, and there really is no maze. There's just the way you see things. There's a saying that says, when I change the way I look at things, the things I look at change. Something like that. I don't know who said it, but it's so true. There's a movie quote, I think it's the movie Giants or something, and the dad in the movie believes in giants and the daughter doesn't, and she can't see the giants, and the dad says, you have to believe it in order to see it. And there's a scene in that movie where I think she's climbing a mountain or something, and you can see her perception change. You can see the wall change because she takes her dad's words and then she believes in giants, and then all of a sudden the mountain in front of her changes into a giant. Just a cool metaphor to see how this idea works in our real life. So maybe you've tried meditation, maybe you've tried breath work, maybe you've tried grounding your feet to the earth, binaural beats. Maybe you try these things for a while and they work a little bit, but then they seem to stop working. Maybe you can see the exit to the maze. You're like, if I can just do this for another 30 days, I'll get better. And then by the time you get there 30 days later, you're like, the door's gone. I don't know where it went. So the first thing you have to realize is how you perceive things will make the whole world change to you. It'll literally make it look like things are one way when they're actually another way. So let's take a look at how human perception works. Because the very first part of human perception is sensory input. I have a few notes down here from ChatGPT. That's the raw data from your five senses. So when you look out in the world, you might see someone frowning, and the raw data is there's a person frowning. But the next part is the thoughts that come up in our mind from the raw data. Now, if you have a past where you've been in a narcissistically abusive family, that frown might be interpreted as they're frowning at me. And that's happened to me in the past many times. I've said something and I was saying it to be nice, and then the person kind of got triggered a little bit and I thought that they were mad at me. Now, after years of coaching, I realized that the words I said triggered them, and their walls to their maze looked different, and the words meant something different to them. So these thoughts that we tell over top of what the raw data that we're seeing, these thoughts program our emotional response. And the emotions that come up are directly related to the story that we're telling. And with enough repetition, you see enough people frowning, tell yourself that it's at you, pretty soon it turns into a solidified belief and a deep operating system belief. And those beliefs you can't see, they're just down there. And you might even change the belief consciously. You might have learned a little bit about human nature and know that the frown isn't for you, but your unconscious mind doesn't know that. And so the feelings will still arise and you won't even know why. So there's one of the main reasons. And these beliefs over time turn into values. What we value, what we think is good and bad. And then those become even deeper. You can't see those at all. And underneath that is your own identity. If you have enough values, pretty soon you say, these values make me this kind of person. And then once you have your identity made in your head, then your worldview emerges. And so all these different layers, you can think of it like this. When you're a child, maybe you're growing up in a house where your parents aren't very emotionally mature. And so after 18 years in that house, you walk out the front door on your own and you have a lens on. And now the world looks a little darker. You're walking around and this is how the world looks. And then maybe you join a religion so that maybe you can understand what happened to you better, get some hope for something bigger than yourself. And so after a year in the new religion, you put on some new glasses. And I'm telling you now, I can barely see the phone in front of me, but this is how life looks. And if I had 3 or 4 more pair of glasses, I live in my van, so this is all I got. But you would see the point. If I put 3 or 4 more pair on, you would see that I wouldn't be able to see anything. And that's when people come to me, this is what they look like to me. And so what I do is meticulously ask questions. And once I can ask the right questions so that their unconscious mind can see the lens comes off. And we go a little further into their childhood, and pretty soon they can see. But what will happen ultimately is after they leave my presence, they'll snap back into the old identity, and those lenses will come back. And so those are the changing walls, is the lenses that our experiences and the stories we've told about them, the beliefs that are created, let me look at my notes, the values, the identity, and then the worldview. So many layers that you can't see it while you're living it. And I see this in the coaching oftentimes. For the first few years of breaking out of just coaching business owners, I had a lot of spiritual healers. And they were just friends, but they would call me regularly and be like, I'm helping this person and they're not grateful and I just don't know what I'm doing this for. And after about the 3rd or 4th person I was coaching through this, I'm putting out good in the world and the good's not coming back to me, I started realizing the only reason they're getting upset is they forgot who they are. They forgot that a healer doesn't need anything back. A healer knows that the energy we send out comes back from other places, not from the person that we give it to. I have literally coached hundreds of people for free, and now I get money from strangers. So a healer knows their identity and they don't ever shift from it. So I started reminding them of their power, what they're here for, and then that maze quit showing up in their life, because once you can anchor yourself in an identity, you realize that there is no maze. So even deeper, we have lenses from religion. That was one of them that we put on, but we also have politics and culture, and there's a lot of levels of things that you can't see. So if you think about it, by the time we become self-aware enough to see that our life needs to change and that we're the only ones that are going to change it, we have all these unconscious beliefs driving how we see, literally clouding our vision. So the ultimate answer to how to stop the changing walls in the maze and how to get out of the maze altogether is to find your identity and stick with it. That's a hard thing to do in the beginning. It literally takes about 6 months for that to become a pattern and for you to get so good at knowing who you are that when situations arise, those old stories go away. So in the meantime, what I want you to do is I want you to unplug your mind from the world around you. Whatever you're dealing with right now, whatever brought you to my channel, whether you're a business owner trying to get a business started and you're like, I don't want to work for other people anymore. I want to make my own money. I want to work half as much as I'm working now and make twice as much. Or whether you're in the middle of a narcissistically abusive relationship and you don't know how to get out. It doesn't matter what the story is. You need to start creating your own personal space, and you need to start going there every day. And when I started this journey, I was volunteering up to 40 hours a month of my time to preach a lie for a cult. And the rest of my time was occupied by a very needy spouse who was always on the brink of a meltdown. And so if anybody is going to tell me I don't have time for myself, there's no possible way to find 20 minutes a day for myself, the only thing I have to say is that you got a lens on that is lying to you. Because I promise you, when you're in trauma and when you're at your worst, you waste more than 20 minutes a day just sitting in just sadness, you know. I've caught myself in the past, even in good times, just losing hours to I call it doom scrolling, but I had somehow in my head thought that if I just search happy memes on Facebook, then I'm helping my mental health. But then I was losing hours just looking for another meme to make me feel better. And so I just called it what it was. I'm like, I'm literally in my conscious mind doing the opposite of doom scrolling. I'm looking for inspiration, but it wasn't helpful. And so cutting things like that out, cutting like TV, cutting news out. News is hypnosis. I'm sorry, but any mainstream news, they're useless. They don't tell you the truth, and it's becoming common knowledge that if you watch any national news, you're literally being lied to and hypnotized. So just quit watching it. Quit Netflix and chilling. Every program on Netflix is made to program your mind, and so you're adding more lenses when you watch the news and you watch Netflix. Most music nowadays is designed to break your mind. Most rap music is about breakups and drugs, and look at the people who listen to that kind of music. They mirror it in their life. It is either designed that way, or humans are just so imperfect and we just love we love misery, and so maybe that was what makes money. I don't know. I don't want to get into any conspiracy theories about, you know, the deep state trying to hypnotize you, but it is a thing. Everything out there, even the medical field, saying that you need a drug to fix yourself, when your body is a quantum processing computer that makes every chemical. If you eat the right foods and you get enough sunlight and water, you're just like a plant. You grow better. I mean, what kind of gardener, aside from putting fertilizer, which is food, what kind of gardener goes out and is like, oh, my plants need some aspirin today, and my plants need a little Xanax for their anxiety? No, they take away the things that are harming the plants, and then the plants grow. So that's how you are. Most of our physical illness comes from unprocessed negative emotions. So just trust that I've been through this with people enough that you gotta quit thinking about that stuff. Those are all lenses. Those are all moving parts of the maze, and you don't belong in the maze. You belong out of the maze, free, where I'm at. So we get there by taking our attention off the stories and literally trying to tell a new story. So when I was about 15 years deep into this narcissistically abusive relationship, I had lost myself completely. And I started telling the story that I was a victim of domestic mental abuse. And anybody that was behind closed doors watching would have agreed, because my wife was acting out and she was abusing me mentally. But one day I decided that I was tired of being a victim. And I thought, what if my goal in life, what if my purpose in life is to figure out what is happening between her and I, fix it in myself, and then teach the world how to fix it? And just that what if helped me to shift identities. That day, I sat down on the couch to do my meditation, and I came up with this new idea that maybe I'm not a victim. Maybe I am a doctorate student doing my final, I don't know what they call it, but where they go to the hospital and do their rounds and work with another doctor. Maybe I'm in such a deep class that nobody else has studied this, and I'm doing this class on my own, and maybe the outcome will be that I know something about relationships and human nature that nobody else knows. When I got up from that couch, I was no longer a victim. The next time my ex-wife cornered me and wanted to occupy 2 hours of my time with her emotions and things that weren't real, instead of wanting to escape it and run away from it, I wanted to research. I wanted to stop and take notes about the words she was saying. I wanted to compare those notes with last week's arguments and find patterns, and I wanted to fix it. Ultimately, at the end, there was nothing I could do to fix her. She had decided that I was her enemy, and then when I got out of the cult that we were in, I became her enemy in her mind. But that mindset change, took me from when she would corner me to start an argument to, oh my God, it's starting again. How do I get out of here? What do I do to protect myself? I can't waste one more minute in an argument with her. It took me from that to, oh, class has started. I didn't hear the bell, but I'm in class. Let's sit down and pay attention. And that mindset shift took me out of victim mode into hero mode. And literally, I started that day off scared of my home life. I was just hardly ever there. But after that shift, I couldn't wait to get back in class. And to this day, that's how I see every problem, is I am in a class learning about life. So, like I said, the process takes a while, especially when you're doing it on your own, because those walls change as your identity shifts. And so until you get solid in your hero identity, you just have to get good at comforting yourself and distracting yourself from the scary changing walls. So I'm going to give you the last part of this video. Is going to just be advice on how to do it. I don't necessarily promote only mindfulness and breath work, but this is my practice. This is how I do it. And so it's all I really know how to teach off the top of my head. But there's all kinds of practices. There's Qigong, which is movement involved. It's kind of a moving meditation. There's all kinds of things that I would call spiritual practices. Even a walk every day can be a spiritual practice. I just jogged for 2 miles a day as a metaphor for my business. And that was my mindfulness. But what we're going to talk about right now is actively breaking away from the story, learning how to meditate, because meditation is self-hypnosis. When you sit for more than 5 minutes, closing your eyes, going inside, looking at your own thought patterns, just observing them with no judgment whatsoever, you're learning how to put yourself in a trance. And the word trance is scary, especially in my group. I come out of a very religious group, Jehovah's Witnesses. You say the word trance to them and they get scared. But you're in and out of trances all day. You know, if you're at a meeting at work and your boss is going on and on and on, and pretty soon your mind's thinking about the beach for this weekend where you're going with your family, you're in a trance. It's not a scary thing. When you're watching a movie and you've suspended all reality and you think that the hero can actually jump off the building and do the thing that he's doing, you're in a trance. And some trances are good, some are bad. When we're really upset and we're raging at somebody for something they've done, we're in a negative trance. When we're projecting our goodness onto somebody who isn't displaying that in real life, we're in a positive trance. Both are just as bad. I prefer to keep myself in a trance all day as an observer. I try not to get myself involved with emotions. The second my emotions pick up, I try to break away from the group that I'm with and figure out why I'm getting involved in the story. why I'm even allowing the maze to form around me. But that's after 10 years of solid practice and knowing what I'm doing. So the way I got here was it started out 5 minutes a day, because the part of your body that's unconscious, the shadow that's following you around, doesn't want your conscious mind to know it's there. It's holding on to these beliefs out of shame, out of fear. You got to think everything that you want in your life that you don't have right now is outside of your comfort zone, and it's going to be scary to go get it. So you have to get used to fear. You literally, I don't know if it was Henry Ford, that's one of the quotes I saw, he said it, but it said, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. I don't know who said it. But it's true, because that fear will paralyze you, keep you inside your comfort zone, and it will keep you stuck right in the maze. You won't even move forward. So the way to get out of it is to make a sacred space for yourself, where you go inside and you analyze these stories that you're telling and you start unraveling them. So like I said, 5 minutes a day, I would force myself to do a guided meditation. And you can go onto YouTube and you can search 5-minute guided meditation for whatever you want. Healing trauma, for abundance, for building your dream business. And I'm going to have a lot of guided meditation on this channel, and breath work as well. Breath work is where you're incorporating breathing patterns, usually like yoga breathing patterns and prana breathing. I don't know any of those practices. I've just learned them from people who teach them on YouTube. So I don't know the history of them. I know there's a lot of religious history to all of that, but breathing is what brings energy into your body. And so when you get into these fight or flee responses, I found whenever you're feeling depression or anxiety, if you just stop and look at your body, start recognizing that as a sign that you're in the maze and you're scared, or you're, whatever, you're freezing. Take some time to analyze what you're thinking about and really watch your body, because if you'll notice, anytime that you're anxious or depressed, your breathing, your breath is shallow. And in a lot of ancient teachings, they talk about breath as the prana. It's the energy that lights up your body. And so let's say the breath process is how you breathe in consciousness. That's how I see it. You start going unconscious when you're breathing shallow. And so I find that when I'm getting into a depression or when I'm getting into anxiety, if I just stop and look at my body, I'm usually breathing really shallow, just at the bottom of my stomach. But the right way to breathe, we're supposed to breathe into our belly and have it rise up to our chest. So one of the breathwork exercises that I do, the instructor says, at a breath in, belly, chest, out. And so you're breathing fully in and fully out. So that seems easy enough, just breathe. But here's the problem. This unconscious shadow of yours is actually in charge of all of your discomfort. It's in charge of your stomach aches. It's in charge of your anxiety. It's in charge of your panic attacks. So it can create those out of thin air. And I recognized this early on in my breathwork journey. I decided to do 20 minutes of breathwork every day at the peak of my window cleaning business, when it was running at its best and I was making $1,000 a day. I was like, I'm going to keep this going. I'm going to do 20 minutes every day of intense Wim Hof breathing mixed with guided meditation, and I'm just going to bust through this wall. But what I would find is I would just not be in the mood for it. I would just wake up and be like, I'm just not, I got a headache. And again, that's the changing wall. The headache was created by my unconscious shadow to keep me from doing the work because it's afraid it's going to die. And so if you get nothing else out of this video, you need to understand that whatever you choose for your spiritual practice, you literally need to become the coach of yourself, and you need to take no excuse. You need to be, short of being on your deathbed, you need to be like, no, I'm doing this today. You can be reasonable. If it's jogging and you have a broken leg, of course you can't jog, but then you could choose mindfulness. But the thing is, for a while, there's going to seem like good reasons why you don't want to do it. Just like when you're breaking a habit. Try eating less sugar, let's say, and if you're really addicted to sugar, that was my thing, still is. Thankfully, now that I'm living in my van, I can't afford tons of candy and stuff, and I just don't buy it anymore. It makes it much easier not to eat it. But when I was part of a family and chips and candy were in the cupboard, I would decide not to eat the candy because I wanted to lose weight and be more healthy. But then in the evening, right before bed, I would get a headache, I'd get a stomach ache, and somehow I just knew that the comfort of eating or snacking or whatever would help that ailment. And again, that's the walls changing in the maze. I had to learn that I have to push myself to do hard things. My daughter and I talk on the phone every night, and probably once a week we talk about doing the hardest thing on purpose, and we always like, do hard shit because you can. It's like, that's how you get through this. Like, you wake up in the morning. A couple of weeks ago, I was literally stuck with no money, didn't know what to do, woke up in the morning, and there was a river about 2 miles from me, and it was a 90-degree day. And I was like, I could sit here all day and think of the story that I'm stuck in, because it's real. I can look at my bank account and see I have $2 in it. I can look at my gas tank and see I'm not going anywhere today with that $2. Or I could decide to do something crazy. And so I woke up early that morning. I packed a backpack with a gallon of water, and I carried a gallon with me. And I walked 2 miles down to the river, which was fine. And then I walked back about 6 hours later. And the walk back, I almost didn't make it. The water was too heavy. I ended up dumping it out as I was going, but I didn't know if I should dump it out or if I was going to be too thirsty. At some point, my Earth Runner shoes broke, and I brought everything to fix them, but the road was so narrow I couldn't fix them, so I ended up having to walk barefoot on the pavement and on the 90-degree day for about a mile. And it was freshly oiled and graveled, so it was very painful, and I kept nearly passing out from heat exhaustion or heat stroke. Now, I don't suggest that. I do things that are just stupid, and then when I survive them, I'm just happy, and then life is better. But that metaphor, taking that hard walk, by the time I got home, I had my first business coaching client, a text from them waiting for me when I got home. So that's how you do this. You set up feats for yourself. Like, an easy one is a cold shower. And I can talk all day, but I still can't do cold showers after nearly 8 years of trying. It's hard for me to force my body to get into cold water. And just now I'm starting to do it. It's summertime where I'm at, 90-degree days. And so I can go in and be like, it's 90 degrees outside. Get your ass in that shower. I don't care if it's cold. And I just jump in. But for the longest time, I couldn't do it. But one of my goals is to be able to get in an ice bath every morning. I want to be able to have a little bathtub outside my house full of ice water, or, with dry ice. I want it 0 degrees. Because the point of this is to be able to stand at the edge of that tub, tell my body to get in, and not hesitate and get in. Because one of the Wim Hof guys that I watched for a while, he was teaching how to do ice baths, and he says, somebody asked me why I do this, and my answer was, because if I can get into 0 degree ice water for 20 minutes in the morning, no matter what happens for the rest of my day, it's easy. And that's really what this is. If you start this spiritual practice, maybe look up some breath work. Hopefully here in the next few weeks, I'm trying to get a little studio so I can record some music and put behind it. And it's a little more than just recording it. But once I get a few breath work videos up, if you set, like I did, even a 5-10 minute goal every day, then over a few months, you'll get over this stomach ache, I'm hungry, I don't feel good, I have a headache, And pretty soon, with enough consistency, you'll be doing this over and over, and then you'll start seeing your shadow and how it's yeah, I call it pain body is what I call it. That's from the teachings of Eckhart Tolle. He wrote the book Power of Now, and in that book he talks about how this shadow actually becomes what he calls pain body. We have a physical body, a spiritual body, mental body, and he calls it pain body. And that just seems the easiest for me. It's your pain that comes up, and it's like, no, I don't want to die. I just want to sit here and be miserable, and I want everyone else to be miserable with me. And that's what we're fighting. We're fighting our own self-destructive behavior. There's nothing outside of us that is stopping us. And so once you realize that, leave this video today knowing that you are in complete control over your recovery process. The only problem that's happening is you're slipping out of hero mode, and the way to get back into hero mode is your breath and the story that you're telling to yourself. So however you can create a ritual, the best thing to do is in the morning when you wake up, and at night before you go to bed, you're already in a trance. The right when you wake up, you are in receptive mode. So pick out the night before a few videos that just speak power into you. I have different playlists. You can tell what is going on in my life by my morning routine. If you walk by my van in the morning and you just hear peaceful affirmations, I am powerful, I can do anything, with soft music, then you know I'm just chill. But some mornings I have power motivational music that is just almost death metal music playing, and it's affirmations turned to 11. It is just like, I am a god, I can do. And I use those when I'm just at my lowest, because I know that the story that I tell myself in the morning will carry throughout my whole day. And so the very first thing I do before I open my eyes, I grab my phone and I hit play on an inspirational video, and I usually have it set up the night before. And then what you want to do is, as soon as that's done, do your morning routine, brush your teeth, whatever you got to do, take your shower, and then do something physical. Just do some stretches, do some qigong, do some yoga, find some way for a few minutes to do something to get your body moving, and then do this spiritual practice. The quickest way, I believe, is with breath work. But the reason breath work works so well for me is I had a few years of just doing meditation first. So I already knew how to put myself in a trance. And so to me, breath work, if you just take the basic Wim Hof setup for breath work, is just 30 breaths in and out, belly, chest out, 30 times, slow, fast, however you want to do it. And then on the last one, you breathe all the way in, hold it for about 30 seconds or so, and then you release all the way down till neutral balance at the lowest end of your lungs, and then you just hold it here. And to me, one round, getting down to that low part, you hold it there. I have got up to 5 minutes of holding my breath with no oxygen in my lungs. And that is where you will start to see the line between consciousness and unconsciousness. I will be fully awake doing a breathing exercise, and if my life is stressful, like the last couple of months, I had a girlfriend that I had tried to build a family with, and everything fell apart. And I've noticed that when I was doing my breath work, because of the emotional stress, because of the stress that my avatar, the story that I've told myself who I am was going through, that my body would almost lose consciousness during that time. I would breathe all that oxygen out, sit there, and I would find myself just almost falling over. And it helped me to see what toll the emotions were taking. And then it helped me to uncover the story that I was telling, that I'm a victim yet again, and instantly seeing myself nearly losing consciousness during the breathing exercise for the first time in a while helped me to see that I was starting to tell the victim story again. So I was able to snap out of my victim identity, I even do it, and right back into the hero. And so your first step in mental health, and you may have already tried to get a morning routine, but that is the most important thing. You just have to make it a goal to do anywhere from 5-minute to an hour morning routine. And if you can get up an hour earlier than everyone else, if you can get up an hour early for work or to start your day, I know it feels like too much, but that is the best time. And then you'll end up going to bed a little bit earlier. I mean, just as a consequence, because you'll be tired. Or if you're like me, the more I meditate, the more I do breath work, the less sleep I actually need. I mean, nowadays I'm up till 2 in the morning working, and I'm back up at 5 or 6 working, and I don't feel like I'm ever working. I'm just always just happily creating. That's what life is supposed to be like when you're in the flow state, when you're exhibiting Christ consciousness. And that's what I want for you. And I did it, that process to actually see what it was is just now coming to fulfillment with me. I can now see that if 10 years ago, if I would have just practiced on breath work, I would have been here in 6 months. But I had to live out, like after my 18-year failed marriage, I had to live out another 4-year failed relationship to finally see what I was doing, because that last relationship really showed me what I was doing wrong. And that's the other thing. The last part of this is a true enlightened person takes responsibility for everything in their life. A hero will go into battle and have every single piece of gear that they have destroyed by the enemy. And they will be sitting there thinking, okay, how could have I done that differently? And if there's nothing I could do differently, how do I get out of this right now with what I have? There's never a time of a hero saying, why did this happen? It's so unfair. Yeah, life is unfair. It sucks sometimes. But that's the challenge. What I just went through was so debilitating. I could have spent 2 years wallowing in, how did I lose another relationship? Am I not worth anything? But I already know my worth. I already know that I'm going somewhere. I know I have a goal and a purpose. And so that's what you need. That creates your identity. You analyze the story that you've been telling and the feelings that it's been bringing up to figure out what that does for you. Because victim mode gives you something. It gives you a reason not to go outside your comfort zone. And so unconsciously, that was part of my problem. Being a victim kept me safe, and then I would get sympathy from people. I had to break out of that mold. So your biggest job here in getting out of this maze is gaining control of your identity, and that comes down to your breath. It's literally a moment by moment throughout the day checking in with yourself. For a while, I had an alarm that would go off on my phone every half hour, and it would just beep. And so I'd be working, cleaning windows, cleaning carpets, loading my truck, and I'd hear a beep, and I would be like, oh, it's been a half hour. How am I feeling? What's going on in my body? How's my breath? Am I irritated? Because those feelings start unconsciously, and you can be carrying an anxious irritation all day and not realize it. You can be lying to yourself all day. Oh, it's sunny out. Everything's great. By the end of the day, you could just be like, God damn, life sucks. So we have to be very aware of ourselves. And once you know yourself, you'll know what's going on around you. You'll start really seeing the unconscious behavior of others. When I'm coaching and I'm in observation mode, sometimes the things that I can see through situations and get to the root of the problem in seconds. But when I'm living out the life of the avatar, the ego, and I'm actually in my body trying to be a boyfriend, I'm absolutely blind. I can't see what's happening. And so what we have to learn is how to live our life as the observer. And so even I have the problem. Every once in a while, my identity will shift. I happen to have it down so well that I know how to retreat to silence and fix it, usually before anyone else notices that it's happened. But, lately, it's been happening to me a few times a day. I've caught myself being depressed for almost a whole day and had to stop and do breathing. Okay, so to end this video, let's actually do a breathing exercise together. And I don't care at this point if you're not feeling like it, if you're like, oh, I'll do it later. you're like, oh, I am hungry, or I got to use the bathroom or something, go pause it. Go do that. Take care of yourself. Get in a comfortable spot. I'll wait here. And then come back. And we're going to do just a couple of rounds of this breathing. And I'm going to show you how prana, or breath, brings consciousness into your body. So, what I want you to do is either sit down in an upright position where your spine is aligned, or a lay down where that's happening, where your body is in perfect alignment. And every time we breathe in, I'm going to try to layer this. I'm going to demonstrate the breathing here and then try to do another video and overlay it. So we'll see if this works. If not, I'll cut that part out. So as you breathe in, go belly, chest, out. And what you want to do is get yourself in a rhythm where you can almost go into a trance. If you can think, and don't let that word scare you, because this trance is the programming state of the human mind. So I'm going to teach you how to put your body in a sleepy state so that you can program it. I'm at a point now where I can get myself into a complete deep trance. I can literally have my phone ring, and I can pick up my phone and talk to a client, put my phone back down and go right back to work, fixing my unconscious mind. Because that's how much control, after 10 years of doing this breath work, I have over my unconscious mind. And that's what you're going to get way quicker than 10 years, because I'm pointing you right to what you have to do. So we're going to do 30 breaths in and out, and then we're going to hold it for about 20 seconds, hold it in, and then we're going to breathe it out and hold it out for 30 seconds. Now, in the beginning, 30 seconds with no air in your lungs is going to feel a little scary, but that's usually what I found with beginners. That's a good starting point, because right at the time you're like, I'm going to die, then you can breathe in, and then we'll hold the breath in, and then we'll do 2 rounds. I try to do at least 6 to 12 rounds a day, which takes me sometimes an hour and a half. But today we're going to just do 2 short rounds so you can get the feeling of it. And what you have to remember is the building up, the breathing. You're teaching your body, the pump in your body that pumps in consciousness. You're teaching it how to do that fully. Think about it. If every time you drank water, you just took a little tiny sip, you're supposed to drink 8 glasses a day or something like that, 8, I don't know how much, and you just take little tiny sip, and by the end of the day, you only have a half a glass, you won't get enough in. So you have to learn how to fully breathe, fully saturate your body with oxygen, with prana, with consciousness. And so let yourself go into this trance, let yourself relax, let yourself just lose yourself in the breath. And then when it comes time to breathe out, watch, because you're going to see the unconscious state try to creep in. And you might even find yourself like, I have these little balls that I hold, they're magnets, and I do this, I roll them around in my hand in order to keep my body aware of what's happening, because they have a little prickly. And sometimes I'll be holding my breath doing this, and I'll watch my hand just drop. It's like I'm almost falling asleep. You think of it like a child eating their spaghetti, and pretty soon their face is going down into the spaghetti over and over. They're falling asleep. With this breathing exercise, you'll start to experience that. And that's why it's good to lay down sometimes in the beginning, because then if you pass out, your body just takes over and starts breathing. The other day I nearly fell out of my van and there was concrete on the floor. So people have gotten hurt, and especially people doing this around water, they end up drowning. So don't ever do this around water. Don't ever do it while operating machinery, and don't ever do it whichever way you could fall. There are sharp objects. So just be aware of your surroundings. And if you're worried about it at all, just lay down. There's no issue, because you can't hold your breath so long that you'll die. You'll lose consciousness and your body will take over. And what is going to happen is you're fighting your unconscious behavior to breathe, because you do that unconsciously. You do that throughout the day without even thinking about it. And holding the breath out and your lungs empty of air feels unnatural, and it feels scary. But it's a good practice, because once we reach that the point of the breath hold where you're holding without oxygen in your air, without oxygen in your lungs, I see that as a metaphor for life. I see that as the 30 breaths in the beginning are the build up to a life, and then the breath hold is a lifespan, is a lifetime. And so the metaphor in the morning when I'm doing my breath work, I feel like I live out 6 entire lifetimes to up to 10 or 15 sometimes, because the breath work prepares me for the breath hold, and then how still I can sit in the breath hold and how still I can keep my mind in the breath hold tells me how good of a life I've lived. And so there are some mornings when I wake up and I get to that breath hold and I'm just like gasping for air, I'm moving around, I'm freaking out, because there's a lot going on in my head. There's a lot of changing walls in my maze. But other days I will sit there and just absolutely feel focused, and there will be no fear. And those are spiritual experiences. No matter what, the whole thing is a spiritual experience, because a spiritual experience is literally your perception changing. Like what I said earlier in this video about the movie where the girl didn't believe in giants, and then she took her dad's words, and the belief morphed the mountain into the giant. The giant was always there in the movie, but she couldn't see it. And what religion does is they hijack that natural feeling of a conscious shift, and then they just brand it with their own brand of religion. Well, that's God, and that's our God, the one I'm telling you about. You have to pay me to learn about him. Well, I'm telling you, it's the universe, and it's your unconscious mind changing your perception in real time. You're seeing the operating system of your mind. That's what's happening. And it's the most goddamn exciting thing once you learn how it works. Because after a while of doing this breath, you are going to be able to recognize an unconscious belief or an unconscious identity that you have by the feelings that you have. You're going to walk throughout your day and say, oh no, I don't like these feelings. What does that mean? And then you'll be able to analyze it and say, oh, there's this belief here that has me acting in this identity. Then you'll be able to do a breath work exercise with the absolute intention of fixing that belief. And the first few times you do it, it probably won't work instantly, but I'm at a point now where I can change my beliefs in real time. I remember I was really in lack one time, and I was sitting thinking of the propane heat that I had in the building that I was in, and the fact that it was about to run out. I didn't know when it was going to run out, and I caught myself just every time the heat kicked on, I was like, oh no, is it going to die? What's going to happen if it dies? And I realized in that moment, I'm not grateful for the propane gas that I have. I'm worried about what's going to happen when it runs out. That's not the identity I want to live. The identity that I want to live and the person I want to be is nothing but grateful, and knows that if the gas runs out, that I'll find heat in other places. And instantly I watched it shift from fear of running out of fuel to gratefulness for the fuel I had. And that's how powerful our mindset is. And you have absolute control over it. You've just lost that control because no one's taught you. And that's what we're learning today. So let's get to this breathing exercise. This video is probably really long. I don't know. I had to do it in many parts. You've probably seen the angle change a million times. So we're going to do 30 breaths in and out, hold it at the top, release, and sit there for 30 seconds. Then take one more breath in, hold it for 20 seconds, and then go back and do it one more time. And maybe after doing this, maybe you could just fast forward to the end of this and just use this, because it should only be a couple minutes. Start making this a habit. Do it regularly, and it will get easier. So here we go. Sit up straight or lay down straight. Remember, as you breathe in, belly, chest out, and then we'll hold. Belly, chest out. 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 Keeping the flow of your breath. Let it take you away from all the stories. Let it move you to higher dimensions. Beyond beyond all the problems, beyond all the illusions. Relax into the exhale. Belly, chest, out. 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 You're almost halfway done. Stay with your breath. Keep your focus on the breath. Breathe in love. Breathe out fear. Each breath, you're bringing energy, prana, consciousness. You're teaching your body how to be more conscious and you're connected. Belly, chest, out. 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 All right, now breathe all the way in. Hold here. And release. And rest. Don't breathe back in. Observe your thoughts. Observe the fear. Listen to your surroundings. Enjoy this moment. Now let's breathe it together. Hold here. Now observe your life. Your 30-second lifetime. Was it peaceful? Or was it chaotic? Don't judge it. Just enjoy it. And release. Great job. I'm so proud of you. Let's do it one more time. Your future self will thank you. Here we go. You got this. Belly, chest, out. 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 Keeping the flow of your breath. Let it take you away from all the stories. Let it move you to higher dimensions. Beyond all the problems, beyond all the illusions. Relax into the exhale. Belly, chest, out. 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 You're almost halfway done. Stay with your breath. Keep your focus on the breath. Breathe in love. Breathe out fear. energy, prana, consciousness. You're teaching your body how to be more conscious and you're connected. Belly, chest, out. 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 All right, now breathe all the way in. Hold here. And release. And rest. Don't breathe back in. Observe your thoughts. Observe the fear. Listen to your surroundings. Enjoy this moment. Now let's breathe in together. Hold here. Now observe your life. Your 30-second lifetime. Was it peaceful or was it chaotic? Don't judge it. Just enjoy it. And release. Amazing job. This is how we escape the maze in our mind. Great job. I hope you're proud of yourself. Make a habit of this. Sit in this space as long as you need.